So you think you planned or attended the most modern wedding ever? We have news for you. Almost everything in a wedding means something.
They're filled with rituals and traditions that go back farther in history than you probably knew. Some are heartwarming, some are surprisingly superstitious, and some of them are, well, kind of mind blowing.
Let's dig into this.
The role of bridesmaids has really changed, especially over the last 20 years or so. Many modern bridesmaids are expected to provide a bachelorette party, a truly modern concept, worthy of the most out of control night of the bride's life, and do anything else the bride decides is a bridesmaid's job. It always wasn't like this, though.
In ancient Rome, brides were thought to be targets of vengeful spirits. It was the job of bridesmaids, all dressed alike, to confuse these spirits and protect the bride. The custom changed over the years, and many believe the idea of having bridesmaids all dress alike became a way to keep all eyes on the bride. By specifying the clothing, jewelry, and even shoes, there would be no competition between bridesmaids, supposedly. And most important, no chance to look better than the bride on her day.
There are many reports that bridal bouquets date back to the 15th century and were filled with smelly plants and herbs to mask the bride's body odor. An interesting idea, but not totally true.
Ancient Rome may be the birthplace of the bridal bouquet, with flowers and herbs that represented luck, fertility, and good fortune, used in garlands and crowns. Ancient Greece and Egypt had traditions of carrying flowers, herbs, and spices to ward off bad luck or curses during ceremonies. In a chicken and egg type thing, it isn't really known if the flowers and herbs were chosen for the symbol they represented, or they became symbolic because they were chosen so often.
By the Victorian era, most flowers had been assigned meaning and were used as messages. Orange blossoms, popular as wedding flowers for hundreds of years, represented chastity. Roses meant different things based on the color: red for love, white for the innocence, and pink for happiness. Lily of the Valley represented happiness and continues to be quite popular today.
Bouquets would include herbs like dill, considered to be an aphrodisiac, rosemary, representing loyalty, and ivy, representing unbreakable bonds. Today's brides use bouquets as a design element of the wedding, and many have no idea what the flowers they choose represent.
The Victorian era also brought us a tradition of the bride tossing her bouquet. In this period, it was common for unmarried women to try and cut a piece of the bride's dress or touch the bride for luck in finding a husband of their own. The bouquet toss was invented specifically to avoid the chaos of the bride being attacked with scissors or overrun by desperate women.
This tradition has changed dramatically over the centuries. As part of a wedding ceremony, the tradition can be traced back to the Church of England in about 1550, but it had existed in wedding negotiations for thousands of years.
It should come as no surprise to anyone interested in history that women were considered property from ancient times, and marriages were complicated business deals with negotiations about property and money, eventually called dowries. The dowry would be paid to the family of the groom before any marriage could take place. Daughters were valuable to their fathers, and a good marriage could raise the entire family's social and financial status. So, a father giving the bride away was symbolic of the release of his property.
Dowries are still popular today in some parts of the world, but the tradition of giving away the bride has transformed into a sweet, symbolic gesture of a father or other important person in the bride's life blessing the marriage.
It's inevitable. Someone will quote this rhyme and check on your wedding day that all items are present and accounted for, but most have no idea where it came from or what it means, and most don't even know the whole saying. It's another tradition from the Victorians, and it's really quite sweet. Well, mostly.
All the items mentioned are supposed to be worn or carried by the bride on her wedding day, and each should bring her luck. Something old was to remind the bride never to forget the life and family she was leaving behind, while something new blessed the new life she was about to start.
Something borrowed was traditionally an item from a friend or a relative with a happy, successful marriage, in hopes some of her good luck would rub off. Some say the item would have been underwear from a woman who had already had children to bring fertility.
Something blue was supposed to bring loyalty and faithfulness in marriage. Maybe this one worked better years ago. Anyway, the shiny sixpence in her shoe has two meanings historically. One says it was to bring the newly married couple great wealth. The other, probably more modern and definitely more cynical interpretation, says it's in case the bride needs spare change to make a hasty getaway.
Modern brides seem to take the wedding cake as a suggestion rather than a hard and fast rule. Many brides have gotten quite creative in the past few years, choosing cupcakes or ice cream sundae bars or even a selection of different candies or cookies instead of the traditional tiered cake.
The wedding cake may have its roots in ancient Rome, where the groom would break, or some say smash, a loaf of bread over his new bride's head. Some historians believe it symbolized the bride's submission to her new husband, while others say it was meant to bring good fortune to the couple.
By the 16th century, a bride's pie filled with oysters, lamb's testes, and rooster combs was served. No symbolism there, right? In the 17th century, a highly decorated plum or mixed fruit cake with layers of sweet icing was the fashion.
The modern tiered wedding cake seems to come from the medieval English tradition of stacking cakes as high as possible for the bride and groom to kiss over. If they were able to kiss, it meant great luck for the marriage.
For a time, ribbons were placed under the cake for female guests to carefully pull. One of these ribbons would have a charm attached to bring her luck in finding a husband in a ritual very like the bouquet toss today. Other traditions involving taking a piece of cake home and placing it under your pillow so you would dream about your future spouse.
One tradition relating to the wedding cake that seems to still be practiced is saving the top tier, or a specially baked small cake, for celebrating the couple's first anniversary or the birth of their first child, whichever might come first.
Wedding veils can be small or huge, short or long. Many modern brides prefer to wear a headpiece or a crown instead, but the veil had an important role historically. Of course, it was to protect the father of the bride in case his daughter had been misrepresented in marriage negotiations.
In the days when marriages were arranged by the parents of the couple as a business transaction, most couples had no choice in their future spouse. Their wedding day may have been the first time they ever laid eyes on each other. To keep a groom from bolting before the legalities were complete, a bride would wear a veil. Some grooms may have been horrified when it was lifted, but by then it was too late.
In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was common for weddings to be held on a weekday with a traditional wedding breakfast and the ceremony starting precisely at noon. The White House Book of Etiquette, published in 1903, even gave a poetic list for choosing which day of the week your wedding should be held.
Brides chose Monday for wealth, Tuesday for health, Thursday for losses, and Friday for crosses. Saturday was just unlucky. Surprisingly, Wednesday was the best day to get married, according to the rhyme.
Of course, modern weddings have been held on Saturdays for years. A weekend wedding allows the family and friends to travel to the nuptials and probably has a lot to do with the rise of a super trendy destination wedding. And a Saturday service also allows a day for people to recover and return to the real world.
Believe it or not, until the mid-1800s, brides wore whatever color they wanted for their wedding. A special dress to be made and used only for their wedding was just not something most families could afford. Women simply wore the best dress they owned.
But in 1840, the widely popular Queen Victoria married Prince Albert, and absolutely everyone had to copy everything from her wedding, including her beautiful white dress. Historians say she chose the color to symbolize virginity and innocence and make her look like a bride, not a queen.
White almost immediately became the most popular color for wedding dresses, and Queen Victoria's dress, full and lacy, became the style everyone wanted. Of course, styles have changed since then and fads have come and gone, but the white wedding dress is still the most popular, and it's all because of Queen Victoria.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video,
Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments.
and we'll see you on the next one.